Nolan Wells' case seems to be taking a backwards paddle. That's right. All of a sudden, a new witness have come forward. And what she had to say takes us back to the beginning. And we're about to get into it. But before we get into it, I need you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you're alerted the next time I upload a new video. Remember, we talked about Katie in the beginning. This witness is bringing information that just may blow your mind. Let's talk about it. In the beginning of the Nolan Wells case, Warren sat down with Officer Tatum and stated that Nolan stayed back on the island with Katie. Then later on, more information came out stating that there was an altercation on the island, but the boys swore that that was not Nolan. Now we have a witness coming out and stating that she saw Nolan Wells get into an altercation over his phone on the island. Thanks to Secret Service Sam, he gave us an update regarding this. Take a look at this clip.
I've not spoken publicly about this before, but I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells from a boat nearby. What I saw has stayed with me, and I believe it's important information. I have provided or intend to provide my account to the appropriate investigators because Nolan's family deserves the truth. Out of respect for the ongoing investigation, I won't speculate beyond what I personally observed. While I was on the boat near the area, I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells and several other individuals. I saw what appeared to be an argument that escalated after there was a dispute involving Nolan's phone. I heard Nolan yelling for his phone to be returned. The argument continued after the group reached shore, and I observed a physical fight involving Nolan and multiple people. I also observed a young woman telling them to stop. At that point, I left the area because the situation had appeared to be getting worse. I did not remain long enough to witness what happened afterward. Everything beyond what I personally observed would be speculation, so I cannot honestly say what occurred after I left. Then she said she messaged one of the individuals that she saw, hey, I just want to say I was a passenger on another boat and I saw the argument between you guys and we'll go to the police with this information. I also have video footage. My husband doesn't show much, but it shows the argument that was taken and how you guys were upset at Nolan because of the young lady.
Could this account be correct and accurate? That's what we need to find out. But remember, we had the attorney make a statement and say that someone saw Nolan Wells in an altercation at approximately 6 p.m., and that was after the boys had left. Now, the timeline on this altercation that the new witness is stating, or is this one of the witnesses? We don't know the timeline because she didn't give it in this quote unquote confession, I want to say. But nevertheless, they wanted to say Nolan Wells wasn't involved in that altercation. However, we had other statements come out and said Nolan Wells was involved and it was over the phone and it was regarding Katie. And all of a sudden, Katie disappeared. Now we have lion ass Brandon Tatum sitting down with Nancy Grace, giving a whole different account. This man is going to hell with gasoline draws on. But listen to what he had to say on Nancy Grace yesterday.
Partier at Horn Island, that is significant. It could prove or disprove your friend's timeline.
Well, Nancy, I think that it's a big obstacle to climb here because I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. Nobody that I've talked to have alluded that this altercation was real. And also Katie, whom I saw her text messages, she didn't even say this altercation occurred. What I will say is that if I was an investigator in this investigation, I want to hear that. I want to be able to compare that information to other things that we may have or other witness statements. But I don't think it's significant because it doesn't show if Nolan Wells was actually killed in that altercation. She's claiming that there was an altercation between him arguing with somebody else. There was a potential fight, but that doesn't get me to how did he drown? How did he get in the water? And how did he not recover and come home to his family? So I would take that into consideration. I would compare that to the other interviews that I've done, but I don't think it's significant whatsoever. However, I would be incredibly skeptical because there's no other statements that I've heard from anybody that comes even close to an altercation with Nolan Wells and others over a girl.
Now, we all know Officer Tatum is a big liar because he's going to hell with gasoline draws on. Okay. But either he's trying to save face, covering for the boys, or being paid to lie. We all know, or speculations is out there that he's in some type of arrangement because you see his bourbon sitting behind the attorney and all of that extra stuff. So we know he's tied into these people. But the clip I'm about to show you, this man just sat there and told Nancy Grace he never heard of it. But here is a clip of this man stating that someone DM'd him this very conversation that we just heard. And he didn't know the time. Then he started talking about 6 p.m. How you go from you don't know the time that they saw this, but it was at 6 p.m. in the end. This man, this whole case, this cover up is so unreal. But we all know why. Take a look at this clip.
Received a DM from someone DMing another person. Now I'm trying to leave these names out because I want to not mess this investigation up. I think law enforcement already have this. That alluded to the fact that, and I messaged this person because I want to talk directly to the person that I saw the DM from. And we haven't talked to this person yet. But the person said in the DM to another kid that is associated, not any of the kids that I interviewed to talk to, but that could be associated to some degree, that knew Nolan, that this person wrote a message saying, me and my husband saw you arguing with Nolan, and to the effect of you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Now, the person did not say they saw a physical altercation. The person did not say what time they saw Nolan and this other person getting into an argument. Now, this is after Warren, their boat left. This may be somewhere around a little bit before 6. What I'm thinking at this point, with all that has been said, is that somebody knows exactly what happened to Nolan, or they saw him right before he died. I am not convinced that Nolan was just out there and drowned.
The unsurmountable amount of cover up in this case shows us, proves nothing but guilt surrounding those boys, in my opinion. This is absolutely ridiculous how they're stringing along these parents who just wants answers. The DA constantly trying to flip the script when she's unable to, because it always come back to backfire. She's debunked every time. No one should be above the law. This here shows us proof that these people think they're above the law, in my opinion. Nolan Wells' case needs justice. Drop down in the comments and let me know how you feel about this new witness that have come forward in the Nolan Wells case. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you're alerted the next time I upload a new video.